My sermon and reflection today is a team effort with the band and myself and a woman by the name of Debbie Thomas, who reflected on our reading this morning about the parable of the prodigal son. And as many of you know, it is a third parable told by Jesus, all in one telling, and each are moving around the theme of what was lost and what was found. Remember the woman and the lost coin, and of course the lost sheep. And common to all three parables is the fact that at the end, when what was lost is found, there's great celebration. And it's interesting when you look at the prodigal son, because when I was growing up, certainly, I only really think of the prodigal son as in the son that ran away. And yet more recently, there's been more reflection on the elder son who stayed home. And then recently also I was reading a book by Henry Nouwen, and he did a whole reflection on this parable of the prodigal son. And he used a whole, almost I would say, a very intense study of Rembrandt's depiction of the prodigal son. And he tied that into both the parable itself and his own personal life and what he saw as Rembrandt's interpretation of the story of the prodigal son. And if you have a spare bit of time in the next few weeks, I highly recommend this book by Henry Nouwen. It will be very enriching for you, so please look that up. But I thought today I'm going to focus on these words of Debbie Thomas, who also had reflected on this parable of the prodigal son, and she chose to write letters to each of the sons, the one that ran away and the one that stayed. And as I read the letters, we're then going to sing with the band, and I'm going to read another letter and then reflect on the end. So our first words are to the boy who ran. I begin with you, because you're the strangest and least accessible to me. Impetuous, careless, demanding, so selfish you take my breath away. On the face of things, you and I have nothing in common. I've never run away or squandered an inheritance or broken my parents' hearts. Neither have I felt the ardent, tear-soaked embrace of a lovesick father, human or divine, welcoming me home. Maybe this is why I dislike you. Am I envious because God is generous? Am I hurt because the Father's love is a wild, unfettered thing, unpredictable and unfair? Yes, I am. I wish I knew for sure that your penitence was genuine. I wish I had a guarantee that you understood, not just in your head, but with your whole heart, just how much fear, destruction, and sorrow you caused. I'm okay with forgiving you, but only if you're sorry beyond language, only if you bleed repentance. I also wish I knew for sure that you pulled your act together. Once the party was over and the fatted calf was eaten, did you get up early the next morning and pull your weight in the fields for a change? Did you apologize to your brother or ask after the health of your father? Did you humble yourself and make peace with the villagers? Did you understand that really there could be no such thing as going home? Not in any simple way. Everything would have to change. Now this is a problem, of course, my lack of charity. I want to accuse you of having no empathy, of not giving a darn about how you ripped your father's heart out of his chest for all those years when you were gone. But here I am, completely uninterested in empathizing with you. So I'm digging down, trying extra hard to reach you. Who are you beneath the labels? Beneath prodigal, beneath sinner, beneath poster boy for God's great kindness. I grew up in the church, a quiet, good kid in my father's shadow. I don't have a dramatic conversion story like yours. What could you possibly have to teach me? Dying of hunger. That's how your story describes your final days in that far-off country. When your costly adventure was over, when your funds ran dry, when your so-called friends abandoned you, there among the pigs covered in filth, you finally realized who and what you were, dying of hunger. May I give you a new label, a new name, one that I can relate to you? Aren't you at the very core the hungry one? It was hunger, wasn't it, that first lured you away from a good life and a good father? A gluttonous hunger, maybe, but hunger still. For freedom, for self-expression, for meaning, peace, something in you. Something wild and insistent needed feeding, and your father, in his vast, unorthodox wisdom, understood. I can't hold the long view as skillfully as he does, but I suppose his letting you go makes a savvy kind of sense. You couldn't return home without leaving first. You couldn't taste resurrection without dying. Maybe we need to know hunger, know it on the tongue, in the gut, like fire in our bones, to truly savor the feast. The Father understood. What a remarkable thing that is, his deep, patient knowing. He respected the hunger that pulled you away. He knew a wiser, sharper hunger would bring you home. Was it admirable what you did? I don't know. But there is this. Even though it cost you, even though it wounded your family, you honored your hunger. I can't speak to the rightness or wrongness of your decision. I dare not, but maybe there is something in your story I should attend to. I usually ignore my hunger. When I can't ignore it, I hide it, I minimize and vilify it. Is there a chance my hunger wants to point me to God? Your journey ends in a passionate embrace, unrestrained welcome, overflowing joy. Were you grateful? I'll never know. It seems your father didn't much care. He just wanted to feed and clothe you. There was so little of your experience I can relate to, much less applaud. Despite my best attempts to reconcile my heart with yours, my envy remains. Your father ran to welcome you. He cared for nothing in this world so much as having you safe and sound and snug in his arms. No matter what the preachers say, this is not everyone's visceral experience. To hear we are loved is one thing. To feel ourselves embraced, well, that's another. But at least you and I have this in common. I know what it's like to hunger for love, for depth, for passion, for joy. And I know what it's like to imagine an exotic elsewhere, a more perfect nourishment miles away from my father's all too familiar table. I know what it's like to come to myself in the broken, impoverished places of my own foolish fashioning, and to long for the warmth and sustenance of a home. I don't like you, but maybe we're not so very different after all.
Father,
To the boy who stayed. I won't lie. My sympathies lie most naturally with you. Your story haunts me. Your resentments mirror mine. Whenever I think of you standing appalled outside your father's house, your brother's easy laughter ringing in your ears, my heart breaks. I see you sore and sweat-stained after a day in the fields, longing to go inside for a shower, a meal, a bed. Longing for so many legitimate things, only to be thwarted by a song and a dance that grates on the ear. A robe, a ring, a fatted calf, not intended for you. Theologians tell me I'm supposed to look at you and see self-righteousness, arrogance, and unholy spite. But I don't. I look at you and I see pain. I'm an oldest kid too, used to being responsible, staying at home and getting things done. By temperament, I'm careful. I like order, I don't mind work, but I'm a stickler about fairness. I care about fairness a lot. I am also, to be fair, a seether. Jaws clenched tight, short breaths, a grating of the teeth. I don't confront, I seethe, just like you. Tell me, how long did the bitterness fester? How many weeks, months, or years did you suffer in silence, mistaking restraint for righteousness? Did your father shrink as your anger grew? Did every word he spoke, every request he made, every sigh he sighed feel like daggers? Did you ever lie in bed at night and wish you had the courage to leave? Yell? Hit? Or was it another kind of courage you lacked? The courage to cry, to plead, to confess a need so insatiable and so secret, it made you burn with shame. What would have happened if you'd looked your father in the eye and said, yes, I know that all you have is mine, but it's not enough. I can't fathom why, but your everything is not enough for me. I can't find contentment. I can't make my way to love. In your very presence, I am lost. I know these are terrifying things to admit to yourself, much less to say out loud. But what if you had said them? What if you had said, something in me is broken such that I can't embrace what is mine or even enjoy it? Please help me. Wrap your arms around me, hold me. I am so full of hatred for myself most of all. Please teach me how to love, how to feel joy. The challenge of your story, that tears at me, is that you have rightness on your side. You are right to call for justice, right to ask why your brother's sins incurred no consequences, right to ask why your own loyalty seems to count for so little. You are right to find your father's version of a love a bit much, a bit scandalous, a bit risky, because it is. You've understood the point of your own story better than anyone. Yes, your brother squandered his inheritance, perhaps by hoarding and withholding. You've also squandered yours. But the real prodigal in this story is your father, is he not? Over the top, undignified, and hair-raising in his love? Of course you're right to be appalled. I don't know why your father never gave you a young goat or threw you and your friends a spontaneous party. I wish with all my heart he had. It makes me angry that he didn't. Was he waiting for you to ask? Were you in turn waiting for him to initiate? I know that Minji's self-protective mindset so well. If I have to ask for it, then, well, it doesn't count. Maybe maybe it does. Maybe there is something essential to be learned in the asking. We have to celebrate and rejoice. This is your Father's final word to you as you stand out in the cold, your arms crossed, your fists clenched, your heart bleeding. Did you know, dutiful firstborn? Did you know you have to celebrate? Did you know that joy is a must in your Father's house? That partying is a duty? How astonishing that you lived within arm's reach of your Father all these years and never glimpsed the merriment that is at his core. We have to celebrate and rejoice, he insists. But there you stand, you lover of justice, 100% right and 100% alone. What will it take for you to believe this craziness? Some lessons can only be learned in the thick of laughter. Some hearts will only be healed at the feast. But here's your vindication. The power in this story is yours. Your brother is inside already. It seems he's done breaking hearts for the time being. Your Father stands in the doorway, awaiting your company. You get to write his ending. What will you do as the music grows sweeter? What will we choose, you and I? Will we join the party? The question I ask each of us is, which son do you most identify with? The one who ran away or the one who stayed? And can you put yourself in the Father's shoes? A heart that is so full of love and generous forgiveness, yearning to embrace both of his sons. What are the words you would wish to hear from your Father, the mother of us all? What is the embrace that you're yearning for? And what are some of the things we might have to let go, or the questions we might ask? The mother and father of us all promises each of us, beloved, all that I have is yours, and I am always with you. can we join the party and accept that joyful invitation and share in that moment of joy and reconciliation?
Home with you to stay, standing by your door, knowing that you'll say, I forgive you, I love you, you are mine. Beloved.